Have you ever wondered who really owns that company you just invested in? Or perhaps who is behind that mysterious shell corporation? Well, today we're going to shed some light on these questions and explore the world of beneficial ownership reporting. We're going to talk about who's accountable, who is exempt, and what happens if you fail to comply. This is a big deal for anybody who owns a business. Stay tuned as we unravel the complexities and provide you with all the essential information you need to know. Welcome back to another episode of the Ask Ralph Show, where we dive deep into the world of finance and bring you the answers you've been seeking. I'm your host, Ralph Estep Jr., and today we have an incredibly timely and important topic to discuss: the recently enacted beneficial ownership information reporting required by FinCen. That's FINCEN. So if you're ready to uncover the ins and outs of this new regulation, let's dive in.
Welcome to the Ask Ralph podcast, where listening to an experienced financial professional can help you make sense of confusing questions, current headlines, and industry trends about taxes, small business, financial decision-making, investment strategies, and even the art of proper budgeting, as Ralph makes the complex simple by sharing his real-world knowledge with all things financial. Now here's your host, Ralph Estep Jr.
Before we delve into the details, let's take a moment to understand the background of these new regulations. In an effort to enhance transparency in financial transactions and combat money laundering, FinCen, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, has recently implemented beneficial ownership information reporting requirements. These regulations aim to uncover the true individuals who ultimately control and benefit from a business entity, thereby reducing the opportunities for illicit financial activities. The purpose of the recently enacted beneficial ownership information reporting required by FinCen is to enhance transparency in financial transactions and combat money laundering. By requiring businesses to disclose information about the individuals who ultimately control and benefit from a business entity, these regulations aim to reduce the opportunities for illicit financial activities. The reporting requirements seek to uncover the true owners behind corporate structures, shell companies, and other entities, thus increasing accountability and reducing the potential for misuse of the financial system. The disclosure of beneficial ownership information contributes to national security efforts in several ways. First of all, the detection of terrorism financing. By knowing the individuals who control and benefit from a business entity, authorities can better identify and investigate potential links to terrorism financing. This information helps uncover any illicit financial flows that may be used to fund terrorist activities. Secondly, prevention of money laundering. Beneficial ownership information enables authorities to identify suspicious financial transactions and patterns that may indicate money laundering. By tracing the flow of funds and identifying the true owners, law enforcement can intervene and disrupt illicit activities that pose a threat to national security. Thirdly, counteracting organized crime. Disclosure of beneficial information helps in the fight against organized crime. Criminal networks often use complex corporate structures to hide their illicit activities, including drug trafficking, human trafficking, and arms smuggling. By revealing the true owners, authorities can dismantle these networks and disrupt their operations. Fourthly, curbing corruption. Beneficial ownership information is crucial in uncovering corporate practices that undermine national security. By exposing the individuals who control and benefit from a business entity, authorities can investigate and prosecute cases of bribery, embezzlement, and other forms of corruption that pose a threat to the stability and integrity of a nation. Fifthly, and the final, enhancing risk assessment. National security agencies can use beneficial ownership information to assess the potential risks associated with certain individuals or entities. This helps in identifying high-risk individuals or entities that may pose a threat to national security, facilitating targeted investigations and preventative measures. By promoting this transparency and accountability in the financial system, the disclosure of beneficial ownership information strengthens national security efforts by providing authorities with the necessary tools to detect and prevent activities that can harm a country's security and stability. These regulations aim to achieve several objectives by requiring businesses to disclose information about the individuals who ultimately control and benefit from a business entity. Number one, transparency. By revealing the true ownership and control of a business, These regulations promote transparency in financial transactions. This helps prevent the misuse of corporate structures to hide illicit activities such as money laundering, terrorist financing, and tax evasion. Number 2, combat money laundering. By identifying the ultimate beneficial owners, the regulations make it harder for criminals to use anonymous or opaque corporate structures to launder money. It enhances the ability of law enforcement agencies to trace illicit funds and hold accountable those involved in money laundering activities. Number 3, enhanced due diligence. Requiring businesses to disclose beneficial ownership information helps financial institutions and other entities in conducting effective due diligence. It enables them to assess the potential risks associated with their customers, partners, and counterparties and make informed decisions about engaging in financial transactions. And number 4, strengthen national security. By identifying the individuals behind the business entities, these regulations contribute to national security efforts. It aids in detecting and preventing activities related to terrorism financing, organized crime, corruption, and other threats to the security of a country. Overall, the disclosure of beneficial ownership information aims to create a more transparent and accountable financial system, making it harder for criminals to exploit corporate structures for illicit purposes. Now let's talk about some of the deadlines. The reporting deadlines for beneficial ownership information, or commonly called BOI, can vary depending upon the jurisdiction and the specific regulations in place. It's important to consult the relevant laws and regulations applicable to your particular situation. However, here are some general guidelines. Let's talk about initial reporting. When a new company is formed or an existing company is subject to new beneficial ownership reporting requirements, there is typically an initial reporting deadline. This deadline is often within a specified period after the company's formation or after the new reporting requirements come into effect. There's also ongoing reporting. So after the initial reporting, companies are usually required to provide updates of any changes to their beneficial ownership information. The frequency and deadlines for ongoing reporting can vary, but they are often annual or semi-annual. That's something you don't want to miss. And finally, there's event-based reporting. In addition to regular ongoing reporting, companies may also have to report any significant changes in beneficial ownership information that occur between reporting periods. These changes can include changes in ownership percentages, changes in the individuals considered beneficial owners, or changes in the nature of the ownership structure. The deadlines for event-based reporting are typically shorter and require prompt notification. It's important to note that the reporting deadlines can be subject to change, and it's crucial to stay updated with the latest regulations and guidance provided by the relevant authorities in your jurisdiction. Failure to meet the reporting deadlines can result in penalties and legal consequences. Therefore, it's advisable to consult legal professionals or regulatory authorities to ensure compliance with the specific reporting requirements applicable to your situation. Now let's address the elephant in the room. That's the penalties for not being in compliance with these regulations. Failure to comply with beneficial ownership reporting can result in severe consequences. Non-compliant businesses may face significant fines, legal repercussions, and even reputational damage. It's crucial for individuals and organizations to understand their obligations and take the necessary steps to ensure compliance. So you might ask me, Ralph, who is exactly required to file beneficial ownership information? Well, generally, any legal entity such as corporations, limited liability companies, partnerships, and trusts that engage in financial activities within the United States is subject to these reporting requirements. That's why I mentioned at the beginning, if you have a business, you're going to be subjected to these reporting requirements. However, there are certain exemptions, such as publicly traded companies, financial institutions already subject to regulatory oversight, and certain government entities. I also found it amusing that accounting firms were exempted. It's essential to understand whether your business falls within the scope of these regulations. Well, folks, that wraps up our discussion on the recently enacted beneficial ownership information reporting. We hope you didn't fall asleep. We hope this episode has shed some light on the critical topic and helped you understand your obligations and the consequences of non-compliance. Remember, if you want to dive deeper into this subject or catch up on previous episodes, visit our podcast page at www.askralphpodcast.com where we encourage you to leave a review. You can also click on the little microphone icon at the bottom right and leave us a voicemail message about a topic you'd like to hear us cover or tell us how we're doing. And before we sign off, I'd like to extend a special thank you to our sponsor, Saggio Accounting Plus. They're here to support your financial needs with their expertise and top-notch services. You may reach them at www.askralph.com. Until next time, God bless you. Stay informed, stay compliant, and stay curious.
Thank you for joining us on the Ask Ralph podcast. And with a simple click to subscribe, we'll invite you back to our next episode. And remember, financial issues don't have to be complicated. Just ask Ralph. The information contained in this episode of Ask Ralph is based on data available as of the date of its release. Saggio Accounting Plus and Ask Ralph Media, Inc. is under no obligation to update this content if changes occur. Applying this information to your specific situation requires careful consideration of all facts and circumstances, and any information provided is not to be considered as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult your tax advisor or attorney before acting on any material covered.